All right. Hello, everybody. It is September 12th here, and wanted to open this up right away if you guys have questions.
Hey, John.
Hey, Anthony, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Awesome.
Good, good. I had a couple of SEO questions. So would you mind if I shared my screen here? I'm hitting.
Sure, go for it.
Um, what is that in the top of? Let's see here.
The share is down at the bottom, the
Okay,
little green square.
Okay, so I'm hitting that. Okay. All right. The first question is we have a review site for a brand. The brand is called Viral X is the name of it. And
Okay.
we sent it in, and it's a pretty big keyword for this market. So we sent it in about a week ago to get indexed. Google hasn't indexed it. And I sent it in a few times. They haven't indexed it. I put the page through the on-page SEO checker on SEMrush, and it's all green. They're saying, everything looks good.
Uh-huh.
However, I then put it into a keyword density analyzer, another tool on the internet, not on SEMrush. And it said, like, for example, the word viral showed up 37% of the time. Some other words showed up 9%, 50%. What can you explain? What's valid here? Is this valid? Does SEMrush know about on-page SEO enough to take this as gospel, or is there something to the keyword density thing where if a word's showing up 35% of the time, is that too much? I've read that between 3% and 5% is optimal.
Yeah, that is definitely a consideration. 35% on a keyword density is pretty what would be considered spammy.
Oh, okay.
So you're right. Like, if you go way back to when that was like a major factor, when Google was just looking at on-page content, they wanted it to be about 1.5% keyword density, which really what that means is you're probably lacking other content, because if your keyword viral is 35%, that means it's like 1 out of every 3 words on the page.
Well, the article is the average article on reviews for that brand, because SEMrush said it was about 750 words. We did 2,600. So does that make a difference?
Well, it's the ratio. I don't really think that's true. There's no way that you could have a keyword density for that word at 35%. That would.
Okay,
Does that make sense? Because that's like telling me that the word is every 3 words that it's showing up.
Let's see if I can. Yeah, here it is, right here.
That would look really odd if it was a 35% keyword density.
Do you see that there, viral? Do you see that on the screen? I'm not sure.
The only thing, I'm just seeing your SEMrush screen. You might have a split screen up that we're not seeing.
Yeah, it might have. Yeah, 24.6%, 186 times. So you would get that down then, and then replace it, like instead of referring to it as the brand, you would say this pill or this supplement. You would replace the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that, or if you can add more content. But yeah, that's really, really high for anything.
Okay.
Even a brand or your name, it doesn't make sense to be referencing it that many times in one page.
Okay. Another question here is, let's see here. We're doing another review here, and I had a couple of questions here. These are on page 1. Do you see this here?
All I'm seeing is a black with the band of the. There you go. You just need to open it up a little bit more.
Okay. Do you see it now? Lean bean. Do you see this?
Yes.
Okay. This is page 1 here, and lean bean review. You see the URLs here.
Yeah, it's still squashed. If you can open it up full page, that would be.
Okay. Let's see. Do you see it now or no?
I'm still seeing just a strip, like it's
Okay.
crunched down.
Okay. I'll send this back, and then I'll just ask you, since there seems to be a problem here with this.
But yeah, on keyword density, what that means, if you've got like a keyword density analyzer tool,
Right.
what it's telling you is how many times per 100 that word is showing up. So if it's showing up, if it's a 35% or 28%, that means your word's showing up 28 out of 100, which, that's 25% of the content on the page.
Yeah, I guess we didn't realize. Do you see this now, lean bean, or not?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah. So one question is, and a lot of these, they come up with these names where you could spell it combined, lean bean, or you can split it up.
Yes.
I don't know if it's good. And if you look at SEM Rush here, they have, if you split up lean bean with a space, it's 1,300. Lean bean reviews 1,900. Do you optimize for both, or
you could certainly? Yeah.
Google consider a search if like a user types in lean bean one word, it can go both ways, or Google will tell the difference, or they see that it's the same brand that they're looking for?
Well, they're going to have, in their results, they're basically going to have relevancy for both. Like if a person types it in as one word, they're going to look at which pages are most relevant to that particular spelling. Now, in some cases, Google actually recognizes that a word is misspelled, and it will automatically show the results of the correct spelling. So what you would have to do is run the search right on Google itself and see if it's auto-correcting it, or if it truly does give different results for each different one. If it does, then you could probably optimize for both. Another good indicator there is if you go down to the very bottom of the Google search results page,
right?
You look at the recommended keywords.
Right.
If you put it in as one word at the top and down at the bottom, it shows the 2 words as highly relevant and a suggestion, then that's a really good indicator that they do see it as 2 different things, but they see it as highly relevant.
Okay.
So
yeah,
in that case, if you used both on the same page, you could potentially rank that page for both variations of it. And that's very common. There's a lot of people that will rank for the same keyword, but just spelled differently or hyphenated or 2 words versus 1. So that gives you more traction and more landscape out there.
Yeah, there are 2 different pages of results for the different spellings.
Okay.
Okay.
Then yeah, take a look at the bottom and see if it's showing one or the other, as a recommended, then that's a really good indicator. That's a pretty good thing to do.
Okay, now for the title, what we're looking at is one question is the URL will be Lean Bean Reviews, because that's the category. Lean Bean 5400 volume, Lean Bean Reviews 1900. Is this a good idea to you to try to put this? It would be one review in a category, or if you don't have a lot of pages, is it worth creating a category for it, or will you get some traction by doing that? None of these other people use categories. You've talked about this. Nobody uses it.
Yeah. If you've got a lot of content, then it makes sense. It's called a silo.
Okay.
So in the SEO space, they call it a silo, which, yes, it is just a category, which in the simplest form means it's just a folder on your site to categorize relevant content pages. If you only had like 1 page or 2 pages, then you could go either way. But if you had a whole collection of pages, like to me, it would make more sense to have a reviews folder and then have them all in the reviews folder.
That's more powerful and that makes more sense to
It just makes more sense. Or if you had a like a particular one like Lean Bean as a product, maybe have that in there and then have your review page, your content page, your sales page, all the stuff to that. It's basically, think of it as is categorization. The more categorized you are with your content, the more it looks like you got your stuff together.
Okay. For the title here, if you would put like, there's keywords here. Lean Bean Reviews is one keyword. Real Lean Bean Reviews is another keyword. How fast does Lean Bean work is another keyword. If you combine 3 different keywords into a title, does that dilute the power of it? Is it more powerful ranking wise just to say what these people do is you go down here, does it really work? That's always a big keyword in this. Lean Bean Review, does it work? Lean Bean Review, why is it female focused? Lean Bean Review, Lean Bean Review. Do you dilute, if you're going to, can you wrap 3 different keywords in the title of Lean Bean Reviews?
What I would do as far as your titles, and this goes for anything, for anybody, I would not be so concerned with stuffing your titles with keywords anymore. I would stuff them with conversion tactics. You know, it's good to have the keyword in the title, but something in there that's compelling that actually gets them to click. The click is what's going to really give you the SEO effect, more so than what the title says. What Google's looking at is this title getting interacted with? So if it looks spammy, if it's just got, you know, like 3 things in it that are not really giving it any call to action or any compelling reason why to click it, I would take that sort of a thing over stuffing it with keywords at this point in the game for sure. Like put in there something like, you know, Lean Bean is great, but this is even better.
As the title of
as the page? Title of the page, yeah.
As the title of a review page for a product.
Yeah. Because that way they're going to say, well, what's even better? If they're there and they're looking, they're interested. So the more compelling that you can create a title to get them to have to click on it, that's going to be your key element for SEO here, not the words in the title anymore. Think about the user experience. It's all about the user experience.
Okay.
You know, that it's one thing to have the keywords in there. You'll get a little bit of a bump from that, but you'll get a huge bump if you get interaction with it. And typically stuffing the titles is not something that's going to get interaction anymore, because what you're up against 9 other people on the same page that are all competing for that click. And the person that gets the click, they're the one that's going to get the actual SEO value regardless of what's in their title.
Okay, so you think that the competitive edge then is you've talked about truncating, and now you're talking about a compelling call to action, just like you said.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay. Which is what they're not doing. None of these people are doing that yet.
Exactly, because that's going to get you the clicks. I guarantee you, if you have stuff like that in your titles, another trick is to put the date in the title. If it's a relevant date, like if they see 10 listings on the page and one of them has this year's date and the other ones have no dates, they're going to see that as the most relevant because they know that's current.
Yeah, I put in here, we've been doing 2019 updated.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you could even make that more compelling, because that's just a claim 2019 updated. You could say 2019, you won't believe what we discovered. You know, something, just think along that line. And I'll tell you, there's no better exercise for that or help thing than if you look at the cover of these magazines that are in the supermarket, you know, like these Globe and National Enquirer and all this. they put these headlines that make you open the thing up. And watching the news or watching the pre-news, like if you're watching regular primetime TV between 8 and 11, they're putting these little short clips out to get you to watch the 11 o'clock news. They're really, really good at it. You can learn a lot from those things just from watching them. Because what they're trying to do, they're trying to get you to stay up an extra hour past when you want to go to sleep to watch a 15-second thing that's meaningless.
Yeah.
And they're using these tactics to actually get people to do that. So think about how powerful that is, to get somebody to do something they really didn't want to do, and they get absolutely nothing out of doing it, and they keep doing it every day.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah.
Or every night. They're really good. So you can learn a lot from watching how they do that, how they structure those phrases. And if you take that same thing and you implement that in your SEO strategy for your titles and your descriptions, you will be able to do the same thing, which is get people to do something they wouldn't normally have done.
Yeah.
You know, to have that kind of power over the other 9 on the page is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I'll try that out. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. That would be probably the best advice I could give anybody from an on-page SEO perspective at this point. Is it's all about user interaction. I mean, yeah, you still have to have content, but the purpose of your content is all really focused to provide good content for your user. If you think about Google and their whole vision and why they are who they are and what they want, like their whole mission in life is to sell ads. That's where they make their money. They make a boatload of money doing it, and they have to protect that at all costs. So when you're in the ad business, the most important thing to you is circulation, because the bigger your circulation, the more those ad slots are worth. Like, think about it. If Google lost all of its viewers because they didn't put out good content, what would happen to the advertisers? They would no longer be willing to pay to be there, to pay to play a game. And the bigger the audience, the more it is worth to pay to play that game. So they're looking at, are they providing a good user experience? If they're sending you traffic from their organic results and they're monitoring it and you're bouncing back and you're not getting what you wanted or you're not clicking through, that's a direct signal that they're probably not putting the right person up. So you're going to drop in someone else. It's going to be like a split test. I guarantee you that pages that go on to, or websites that get listed on page 1 of Google that do not get clicked don't last. Google is constantly swapping them out to see who belongs there. And their rank brain algorithm is keeping score. It's watching everything. So that click, when I say that click is important, that click is everything. It's not just about getting listed on the first page. It's about getting the traffic and keeping it. Make sure you're not doing any bait and switch stuff. And when you do get them there, it's just as important that you use that same concept of how you got them there as to how to keep them there. When you have content, let's say you have 2,500 words on the page, it's one thing to have it there so Google can see you've got content. It's another to get the person that lands on it to actually consume it. Believe me, Google knows if the content's consumed or not. If they see a page with 2,500 words on it, they know approximately how long that takes the average viewer to consume that content. So if people are landing on a long page, hitting it for 3 seconds and then bouncing off of it, Google knows they didn't get what they came for. They didn't like it. They didn't value it. They went away. The only way that you can prevent that is like drawing them deeper into the same page with anchor text links, linking to anchors in the same page, getting them to watch videos. Like if you have a long page, the likelihood of someone reading it versus watching a video is slim. It's very slim. So when you see a lot of the pages today, a lot of the sales pages from the guys that really know what they're doing, they'll put the video at the top and they'll populate the rest of the page with all the content of the video. So they'll take and they'll transcribe it. So the content is there. Google can physically see the words. They know the content exists, but then they use the video to capture the viewer and keep him there so Google sees the consumption rate. So that's a really important concept. Video these days is really powerful, but bad video is no better than bad content. You know, when somebody sees a video, if they're bored and they're not compelled and you didn't tell them why they're watching the video or what's in it for them, they can easily just skip off that video just like they skipped off and bounced off your page. It's the same result. So understanding, you know, what your audience really wants and providing quality information that's in alignment with that is really, that's the SEO game today. Really, and it has been for a while. Google has just gotten really good at formulating how they value it now. So it's, you know, it's the same game. It's just a little more stringent to play, and it's a lot harder to game the system. And I don't know if Anthony, I'm not sure if you're using our SitePop software or not, but that
No, I'm going to get to it. Yeah.
That could potentially really help you, because that could give you a leg up connecting your brand to your product names, to your keywords.
Right.
Because that's a huge factor now in SEO, is when Google sees that you have a brand connection and people actually know your brand, and they do deep searches called navigational searches, searching specifically for something that they know is on your site. That right there is a huge thing for the SEO optimization world. That brand connection in conjunction with navigational search is absolutely huge. And that's one of the best things that SitePop does for you is it makes that connection.
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna look into that. I wanted to ask you to get back to, you said a couple of minutes ago, if we sent it in to get indexed and Google didn't index it, is that because the robot saw the keyword density and classified it as spam and refused to index it, or was it rejected?
It could, yeah. If you submitted it for indexing, the best way to submit a site or a page rather for indexing is with a YouTube video. If you put a YouTube video up, even if it's just, you know, a short 15-second video just introducing the page, you know, say, hey, we got a new page on our site. It's really cool. Here's what you're going to get by looking at it. Boom, here's where to go. And then in the description of the YouTube video, you start it off with HTTP and you put the actual URL of that page. Google can index that page within seconds of seeing it.
Interesting. So how do you, to correct the page and then resubmit it, is that going to be a problem to get it re-indexed? So
No,
if the robot they'll send the robot back, and if they see the density is fine, then it'll get indexed and that's it. I'm not going to get penalized.
No, you would never get penalized. It's just a link. When Google follows links and it finds new content, it indexes it. Google's job really is to index the entire internet. So the fact that it didn't index that particular page says one of two things. Either it didn't find it properly or it didn't like it for some reason.
Yeah, it indexed a bunch of other on that site.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that it won't index it again when it comes back.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. So there's no fear of penalty for, you know, bringing Google back. Basically, when you put links out, what links are doing is links are getting Google to spider your site more often. Google, basically, wherever they're on a site, they follow links immediately as soon as they find them. It's an automatic instant process. That's why I say when you put a YouTube video up, you can get a page indexed almost instantly, because Google is on its own properties and it's looking for fresh stuff. So as soon as that video gets published, it's immediately live. Google spiders the new content because that's its own site. It's constantly on its own sites.
Right.
And as soon as it sees that new link, it follows the link, and basically its job is to index all content found. If it's not indexing something, that means that they probably don't like it for some reason. And if you've got a, you know, like a 34% keyword density, that really might be a good reason for them not to index it, because they just see it as spam.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about this so I can correct it.
Yeah.
You know,
I would, you know, even like,
and that you saw SEM Rush said there was no problem with that page.
yeah, and they weren't, the SEM Rush,
correct.
they're not looking at everything. They're looking at particular things that they feel is important, and they might have left that out because they just probably figured that's common sense. If you look at a page, like let's say you went to the library and you checked out a book, and the book had a chapter in it with 1,000 words in the chapter. You know, it's a small chapter, 1,000 words, right? Easy read. But the same word showed up 33% of the time. Every third word was the same word. How would that read? You know, would that keep your interest, or would you say, this is crap? You know.
Right.
So that's what they're seeing. That algorithmically, they don't have to read the page. They can algorithmically see that page has no value. It's just.
And you mentioned something interesting where you said 2,500 words. The average person is not, I mean, I personally, I don't know about you, but if something interests me, I would read, you know.
Yes.
I'm a big reader, but
Yeah.
the average person out in middle America, you know, that we're selling to is not going to read 2,500 words that today you need a video. It seems
But
like
there is a way to get them to.
Yeah.
There is a way to get them to read longer and deeper, and that is with breaking up the content, putting compelling headlines, and really every section of the site should have a header, you know, a headline. And every headline, the whole purpose behind the headline is to get them to consume the next piece of content. Because normally what people will do, they'll scan the page looking for what pops out at them. And then they'll dig in deeper at what interests them. So if your page all looks the same, it's all mundane, and it all at a scan, nothing stands out, your scan's going to happen in a couple seconds and they're going to bounce off. So the whole goal, like when you're creating content, you're actually developing a style. You know, think about it as design. You know, when it's not just words, it's design. It's how the consumer is going to take it in. If you put all of your text too small for your reader, like if you've got an older readership and you use too small a font and you don't bold anything and nothing stands out, they just look at it, it's like, yuck.
Yeah, I have it at this one is at 16 point for the body, 16 point. Is that good? I've seen other people at 20 point, 24 px.
Yeah,
what would you?
It really, you know, it's kind of a design thing, looking at how much text is there, how big your headers are. Keep in mind, your headers have to be bigger enough to stand out. You know, so you want to strategically use larger fonts, colored fonts, bolded fonts to grab people's attention and suck them into the next piece of content. That's why you don't have the whole page all one size, all one color, all, you know, you break it up. You use those things. It's almost like putting arrows. It's like, hey, look at this. When you bold a title, it's like, hey, this is important. You know, read this next section. And you can even say that. Like, you can use pattern interrupts just like you do on stage. If I'm on stage and I'm speaking to an audience and I notice they're drifting off, I can immediately pull them back in with one sentence. I can say, what I'm about to tell you is going to be the biggest, most valuable thing you're going to hear here today. And then all of a sudden, they're all back locked on me because they're waiting to hear what I'm going to say. Headlines are the same way. You know, I talk a lot about this in the ACT program. The ACT program shows you how to digitize marketing that once worked in the real world. And I guarantee you, any marketing that did not work in the real world is not going to work online. Like you would never have done that in the real world. You would never put out something that was just all mundane, all monotone. I mean, look at newspapers. They bold titles, they columnize it. They make it look interesting to get people to read it. If all the words on a newspaper were all the same size, it would be like, you'd look at it and it would just hurt. It would hurt to try and consume it. It would not be very interesting. So, you know, and same thing, like when you look at somebody on stage, they can snap the audience into attention by using those things. Those are the things that, like I say, if it works in the real world, you can digitize it in the online world by using bold headlines to do just that. It's like, what is in this next paragraph is the most important thing that you're going to read on this page. Do you think they're going to skim over it looking for the next bullet? Or do you think maybe they might stop for a minute and see what that says? So it's language. It's how do you craft language to evoke action. And if you're not doing that, then you're not marketing. You're just blah, 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 blah. And we all know how that works. You know, even in conversation, if you're at a bar and you're not talking in terms of what's interesting to people, eventually there's nobody standing next to you. You're talking to yourself, and you don't want that to happen in your marketing. You want to be throwing out like one-liners that grabs people's attention, and then they lean in and they want to hear what you have to say. It's the same thing here. And for SEO, there's nothing at this point in the game that's going to work better than that. You know, it's been working for a long time. Perry Belcher proved that to me when he sent me his results of, you know, of his landing pages that were just absolutely rocking it in the SEO results, and it had no content on it. It was the fact that it had engaged the people to listen to a 45-minute video. And when you watched his video, you were not going to stop it. You were not going to go off that page until you were to the end of the video, because he did exactly what I'm talking about. He grabbed your attention at first. As soon as he got a point across, he was throwing out a new headline of why you needed to stick around for the next 5 minutes. And then as soon as he got to the end of that, he did it again and again and again. And what he was doing, he was replicating what they do and what's been really effective in the text world, you know, with the headlines and calls to action. You know, a call to action is not just at the end to buy your product. A call to action could be why to read the next paragraph, you know, or why this point is really important to you, you know, why this matters to you. Because when you make that connection of, oh wow, this should matter to me, I really should pay attention here. It's not just the blah 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 blah. If you're creating content in the blah blah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Like David Ogilvy in the 50s, he associated this whole concept to having a big idea. When you have a big idea grabs someone's attention and pulls them in with interest to learn what this means. And you could technically have multiple big ideas on the same page, pulling them down to the next section and the next section and the next section. It's a headline. And what he said about content, he used marketing. He said a marketing campaign that is not attached to a big idea will pass like a ship in the night. And the meaning behind that is you're not going to see it. So your viewer's not going to see it. And we all know if they don't see your content, who cares about the search results? I could pile all the people in the world on that page. If they're not going to read your content, all the search results and all the traffic in the world's not going to help you. So it's really, you've got to lean on the core and you've got to focus on your users. That should become the most important thing to you. If you just set search engine aside for a while and just focus on your users, I bet you'll create content the search engines will absolutely love. And I bet you'll never come up with a 35% keyword density doing it. So, and I apologize if I seem like I'm coming down hard on you, but it's
No, never. Yeah, never. Whenever I talk to you, don't worry about offending me or whatever. I want you, to tell me.
yeah.
We've been talking about Kennedy and different people the last few weeks, and I've dealt with a few consultants. I know you've been in business, and there's some consultants will just tell you what you want to hear, or if you take a guru, or if you take a seminar, some of them are in that game, and I never said, whatever.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
very
about
helpful. Yeah.
I'm not about that. I don't have any hidden agendas. I'm not trying to sell you anything. You're already here. I'm
Yeah.
I'm just here to help and give you the reality, and that's the best thing I could do for you, is just tell you the truth of the matter.
Right.
And it's hard, and doing what I'm talking about doing, it's not easy. It's work. It's, like anybody can write an article. Anybody can put words on a page. That's not where the magic happens. The magic happens in what I'm talking about. And it's not easy. I might make it seem like it's easy, but it's not. It's not even easy for me. People tell me, hey, can you come up with a headline for me? I'm like, yeah, if you give me enough time to chew on it. They don't always just come right off the top. A lot of times I'll throw them out and you guys might seem like, yeah, this just rolls off his tongue, but I'm working at it. I'm thinking hard to come up with that stuff. I'm basically, what I've learned to do is, some people call it an NLP technique of timeline. I am actually hunting back through my timeline, looking at everything I've ever experienced in life, trying to come up with something that makes sense out of all my life experience. And a lot of times I've already come across something. Maybe I didn't do it, but I saw it somewhere and I knew how it was dealt with. I knew how it was overcome, and I can draw on that. And I've learned to be able to search my memory banks on the fly pretty well. That's why it might look like, I'm really good at throwing this stuff out. I'm not making that up. I'm drawing off memory for that stuff. So that's, some people are better at that than others, and it's not easy. That was something that was a learned skill for me to be able to do that. But in a lot of cases, if it's something brand new, you're showing me something I've never seen before, I might have to work a little bit harder on that to come up with it. And I have seen a few. It amazes me that I haven't seen everything yet. And I always thinking I have, but it amazes me how stuff comes up. And, like for instance, Cheryl, not the one that's on the call here, the Cheryl that was in the group a few years ago, she's now moved on to other stuff, but she did a thing where she had brain injury. She had a healing process for brain injury. And, when we were trying to identify the avatar, I realized all the stuff that I was teaching everybody else didn't fit. It didn't fit her criteria. We weren't actually treating a person, we were treating a symptom. So when I recognized that, I reformulated my thought process for her, and I said, okay, instead of talking to an avatar, we're going to talk to a symptom who a number of avatars may experience. If we limited it down to a particular avatar, we shot ourselves right out of the water. So, every once in a while I'll come across something where normal rules don't apply, and I have no problem changing the rules if that's the case. So it's ultimately whatever's going to work. So, all right. anything else you want to throw in on top of that, or anybody else want to jump in on?
Hey, John, how we doing with Site Pop?
Site Pop is doing well. I know you were you interacting with Chris on the message board? I haven't seen. I haven't been following that.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm not really getting specific information. All I know was it worked at one point, and now it doesn't work at all. The devices are connected, but they're not showing any kind of results. And I'm trying to understand if there was something different from the application that I need to change on my side or not. And this morning when I came in, there was like 20 windows open saying that Marketing Assistant has been updated. Update your Marketing Assistant application. I did that and there was no update available. So something is really weird happening.
Yeah, that what you just described was an issue that we had a couple of months ago on an old version of the application on Windows. You're on Windows 10, right?
Right.
Yeah, on Windows 10, what we did, we had to redevelop the app for the Windows platform, and it only, at this point, it only works on Windows 10. But the thing that you're describing, we haven't run into that recently, so it kind of makes me think that you might have an old version of the app running, even if you tried to uninstall it and put a new one in. It almost sounds like you've got something buggy on that computer that's messing it up. Have you by chance tried it on a different computer?
No, it's on the same computers that it used to run on, and I have one Windows 7 machine and the rest are Windows 10s. Okay. Is there a way to get a new version and uninstall it and just install the new version instead of doing the update?
Yeah, that would be what I would recommend. I would recommend uninstalling it off the computer altogether and reinstalling the newest version, which you're going to find in the control panel. If you log into the back office,
right,
and go up to devices, download it right directly from there. And that should be the newest version. Make sure you do it from the back office though, not our membership site. I don't know. I was going to take it off the membership site altogether so we never had a mismatch. But make sure you log into the back office, which is the my.site-pop.com.
So that's where my dashboard is, right?
Yes, yes. Pull it from there, uninstall, reinstall, and see if that might not fix it for you.
Okay.
Because yeah, that was an issue that we were experiencing a month or so back, and as far as I know, once it got redeveloped, now what happens? Like mine just did an update this morning. I opened my computer up this morning. It says, you know, there's a new marketing system update, and you click to update. And then it closes it out, and then you have to restart it. But it doesn't.
You know what the latest version is?
Doesn't open like the 50 windows that it used to.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know what the latest version is for Windows?
I don't know the version number offhand, but I do know that the one that's up on the back office site is the one to use.
Okay.
Because Chris has updated that one, and he said it auto updates now. It auto sends the the update signals out and all that. So
okay,
I think that should probably do it for you. And as far as results, you got keywords in there that have traction already. I ran an SEMrush report for you, didn't I?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, perfect. So once you get those in and everything is connected properly and it's rolling, you should see some positive movement on that pretty quick.
Well, that's my concern. I've been trying for a month to get it back up. I was doing awesome. I got up to like number 4, and now I'm back down to number 7.
Okay. Well, bouncing around like that's not really anything to worry about. I know, like with mine, I've been following mine on Internet Dominators, and I can't believe what it's done for me. It's actually cleaned up all the old garbage that was out there that I couldn't get rid of any other way. Like I think I talked about this on the call last week or the week before. I had my old Limboland site had forwarded to Internet Dominators, and it pulled all the stuff that site used to rank for, which, it had shopping carts on there from about 50 different businesses. And one of them was a scrapbooking store. So my Internet Dominator site wound up ranking for all kinds of scrapbooking keywords, which there's zero relevant content on my site for scrapbooking. And in fact, all of the pages were dead. None of them were even live, but I could not get Google to get rid of those. I couldn't get them to unindex that stuff. And now that I've run SitePop for the last probably 4 or 5 months on there, it's completely cleaned it up. Now I'm ranking for what I should be ranking for. But it still bounces around, like 1 week I'll see, a particular set of keywords is doing really well, and then another week they go down and another set comes up. So it's, that's all pretty standard in the SEO game, to have stuff shift and move around. Google's just doing its thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, I'll give that a try, and I'll keep working with Chris, see if we can get it going.
Okay, cool. But yeah, try that first and see. I'd be willing to bet that might fix you up.
Is there a list of ports that this software works with as far as firewall ports?
That I don't know. That would be more a question for the guys in the backside of it.
Okay.
I do know there's been a handful of people that couldn't get it to work because of antivirus software that they had with special settings they had really tightened them down. And once they removed that, then it worked fine. We've even had that with Kartra. I've had some guys that could not log in to the Kartra help desk, and it was because of software they were running. And a lot of times I'd have to have them run through a incognito window so they could actually get through to Kartra, which is kind of interesting. We even had some on the last promo, they couldn't buy using PayPal because of their software was blocking PayPal. So it's not just us. When you put protection software on your computer, it can block a lot of stuff that you may or may not even know it's blocking. You might not be getting things to run the way that they are. And that could also be the case here with the SitePop software. You might have some kind of software on your computer that's getting in its way.
Yeah, I got one with the antivirus software, one without antivirus software, one with Windows firewall on and off. I'm trying all different things.
Yeah.
So when I get it dialed in, we'll know.
Okay. Yeah, that's the whole thing with computer development. It's like software development. It can really be a nightmare because of all the different things that we could potentially be up against out there.
Oh yeah.
And for us, it's even worse because we're supporting 4 platforms. We've got Mac, we've got Windows, we've got Android, and also the iOS platform. So we got 4 cans of worms to deal with. So it keeps our programmers quite busy on the back end.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm glad it's not me. I don't have enough hair to go through that kind of an experience.
I agree.
So,
all right. Thanks, buddy.
All right. You got it. All right. Cheryl, you want to unmute? Here, I'll unmute you. There you go.
I'm unmuted. 2 quick questions. When people click on my website, the landing page, the opt-in offer, it takes them to another window. Now the offer is actually in Kartra, right? The 2 downloads on my website that you put up for me, are actually in Kartra. So when people click on the download button, it takes them to that download page, but they exit my website. Now, I'm pretty sure on these calls I've heard you say never ever do that we don't want people to exit the website because that lowers SEO.
Yes.
It should open in a separate page. Is there any way to make that happen through Kartra?
Yeah, actually that wouldn't, I think that one, I'm not sure if that's going to be in Kartra or not. I think that's going to be on your, well, let's see. I'm trying to think. The way you've got it set up. You have it with a form, right? You're putting the form code on your web page to pop the opt-in. Okay, so
Yeah, and that takes you to, if you look at the HTML code on that, it takes you to Kartra.
yes, okay.
To the form.
Yeah, so that would probably be inside the, that's going to be in the form code when you set up
your on Kartra.
On Kartra, yeah. When you set up the form, that's where you would look at that, like on a click, wherever there's a link in Kartra to click for something. Down at the very bottom of that edit window, there's a little checkbox for open in new window. That's where you
Kartra.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to find those forms in Kartra. I had to go to you. I mean,
yeah.
I was in Kartra and I was trying to figure out where the heck the form was. Now, in the email you sent me, you gave me a link to the form. Will that take me right to the form where I can check that box?
In the form, like inside your Kartra, I was just in there this morning. When you log into your Kartra account, over on the left side, there's that blue column of buttons.
Right.
And there's one button that says Forms.
Yeah, I tried all that.
When you click that, I think it shows that you have 2 or 3 forms in there.
2, right.
And it's the form for the download your blueprint. So when you edit that form, that's where you're going to find that stuff.
So I go to the form and then I click the edit button and then I'll find a button that says open in separate window.
Yeah, you should. When you go through the form settings, I think it's going to get down to the point where it's like customize the form, and that's where you're actually setting up your your form where it's there. And there's a link button there. There's always a link. It's click this link to do something, and that's typically where I find those things.
Okay, so I'll try that.
Okay, try that.
I tried it myself without you, and I didn't get anywhere, and had to send it to you.
Yeah. Well, yours is kind of different. I was having to really kind of think about that because you're putting a button on your site, on your WordPress site, and it's not really a button. It's a JavaScript that's creating a button. So that's why typically when you put a button on your site, you link that button to something, and in that link you can do the open in new window. But since your button is created from a JavaScript code that's being created by Kartra, you're probably going to find the button on that side to open it in a new window. Okay.
And then one more thing. When I click on the send Cheryl an email on my website, and I type in like test, and I send it, it says message sent.
Okay.
But I never get an email.
Okay, and that's it.
Now my email is being hosted on your website, so I'm not sure if it's your website issue or if it's a WordPress issue. Where do I find the problem? Okay.
And that's in WordPress.
Or do I just tell you, and you fix it?
Yeah, what I would do is I would look at the form and see where it's sending it to.
Well, it's supposed to be sending it to me.
Okay, but are you sure? Did you validate that in the form to make sure that it's
I don't know what that means.
Well, like when you create the form on the website, there's
a form on the website?
Yeah, the form that you're talking about that's sending the email to you, is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about just sending an email directly?
No, on the website there's a contact Cheryl, and then it says fill in your email address, your name, and whatever question you have, and then you click on a button that says,
okay. So that's the form I'm referring to.
Okay.
In the form settings, it's going to be where does this go to? You want to make sure that you've got the right email address in there. Because you had a developer develop the site, he might have left his email in there for testing purposes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Is it going to me or is it going somewhere else? I can
Exactly.
find that on the dashboard page of WordPress.
Yeah, in Beaver Builder, you click on that, and then you can go into the form settings.
Okay, I'll try that.
And then you should be able to see that. I believe you can also get to that in the WordPress dashboard as well. I think it's on. I think there's actually a setting for contact forms, and then you can edit the form, and you can see all the form settings. So I know when I have developers do that, a lot of times they'll leave their own email address in there. They forget to update them.
Yeah, I think I've seen their name in different places on my site, so maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, more than likely. If it's got the right email and then it's not getting to you, then I need to look at that. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be in that form setting.
Okay, that was all I needed. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. All right. Anybody else before we wrap up here? Joe's got his green screen up. That's looking pretty cool.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I put a question up on the chat. I used to have some software that I could, before someone pays me as a client, I could find out, where are they ranked, say in the top 50 or top 100 for what keywords, and how can we maximize stuff that's on the second or third page?
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'm looking for, I can't find that tool, and I'm wondering if you have a good recommendation for that.
Yeah, I just put a link in the chat. It's SEMrush is the tool that I use for that. It's a fantastic tool. I think it costs about 98 bucks or 97 bucks a month now. I got it like years ago, so I was baited in at like $49 a month. But from what people tell me, I think it's like 90 something bucks a month now. But it's the best tool that I have in my tool belt at this point when dealing with SEO customers.
Okay.
Or even.
Would you recommend? I definitely want to do that, but I've been really focusing on my business coaching business, and now I want to bring that. I'm refocusing on my web design and SEO business and content and all that. So I don't have enough paying clients to justify the SEMrush yet. Do you have any other tools that I might be able to use in the interim?
That's the only one that I know of that actually shows you where a site is currently ranked.
Okay, gotcha.
The other thing that it does that's just outright awesome is it has a content section where you can do content research, and it will tell you not only what the most popular trending content titles are for any keyword, it will also give you recommendations on the actual content itself. So you can, it's really cool. They have several different sections in there. They can do SEO audits on a website. So there's a lot of stuff in that one tool. And like I said, that I use that tool almost on a daily basis with my clients because I can do so much with it. It's really, really.
I'll just have to go for it then.
Yeah, it's an awesome tool. I think you'll like it. You can use you can get like a 7-day trial or something if you just want to try it. But I think once you try it, if you're dealing with clients on a regular basis, it's definitely worthwhile.
All right, awesome. Thanks, John.
Sure, no problem. All right, guys, last chance here. Anybody else before we wrap up?
John, are you going to be available after the call?
Actually, I am headed out right now to a conference over in Irvine.
Okay. I'll put my stuff together and email it to you then.
Okay, perfect. I'll be back tonight, and then I can get back to you then.
Okay, that should be fine.
All right, awesome.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Bye, Gracie. That was Gwen's daughter.
My shadow.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, and we'll be back on next week, regular time. So if you have any questions, get them together, and we'll get back on here and play again. Okay, guys, have a great week. Bye-bye.